further in. I want to drop this in so you'll see it coming. What's happened now in that the Son of Man has been revealed in this day. What has happened is this 7-color rainbow, all those lights have been gathered and been pushed back through the three-sided prism, and we're seeing the one single light. That's how the Son of Man was made manifest, Luke 17:30, through the ministry of Brother Branham. So it wasn't what he said. He says they had their measure of the Spirit. They had their dip in the Spirit, he called it. He says, but we have him. Because there was a fullness relieved. He said Christ was bound for 2,000 years by creeds and dogmas, but loosed by the opening of the 7 seals. So consequently, there's a measure that's out there now. Now, what happens is, for many that have come through Pentecost, and that would include me too, and of course, I think let's see, myself and the Davises are the only ones that are up in the age bracket that we caught a little bit of the last of the Pentecostal powers. And the way it was and the way it is very different. Very different. I came in the early 1960s into Pentecost, and Brother Branham said it died in 56. And yet, in the early 60s, we still had regular tongues, interpretation, dreams, visions, prophecies. They were just in abundance. But there was a tremendous mix of error all in there, but there was a lot of truth in there too. And supernatural things were not unusual. And Brother Biscoe now, he was in the Pentecostal move back when it was on its height. And he said he was sitting in church one day, and he said he had his eye on his wife, but he hadn't made anything known to her yet. And he says they kind of stood up after one service, and he says an older lady turned around and says, Eddie, God has given you that sister over there. Don't you worry about it. And he said, I hadn't told anybody I was interested. But he says, I just took it, and that was that. Because he said those kind of things happened all the time. It wasn't like, this how unusual. He said, no, it happened all the time. And so consequently, there was a realm of the operating then under the anointing that's gone. But we're going to be moving back into that in a slow kind of way. And then when the squeeze comes off the World Council of Churches, God's going to pour out something, and we'll see a dynamism. Now what's happening is, so that everybody, we have new people among us, so old timers forgive me as I go over these things. What's happening is we're storing the word in our heart. And Jesus said, the words I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Okay? So it's seed that's planted inside here, and it's bringing a measure of spirit and life with each bit of the word that we get. But then just like that portion of the DNA that's quickened to make that operation, it's laying somewhat dormant. Not totally, but somewhat. It would seem very dormant when we say, the fullness of Christ is here. We're here, because we don't see that much except in a lifestyle, but we don't see the supernatural. But Brother Branham says he'll send the Spirit and quicken the word that you've held in your heart by faith. So that's why we want to get as much word tucked away in there as we can, because when the quickening comes, whatever measure you've got at that time, that's what will manifest. And then, of course, each member of the body will manifest their portion, their measure. No one of us will be the fullness of the Godhead bodily, but the fullness of the Godhead bodily will be on earth in the bride.